Review the tiered links to your website and the tiered links to your competitors' websites with Bill Hartzer from Hartzer Consulting. Brought to you by Majestic, I'm David Bain and this is SEO in 2022. Bill, what is your number one SEO tip for 2022?
I think we need, there's so many tips I could give. I think probably we need to get a little past the fact that we're just been analyzing for years, analyzing just who is linking to us. And on the actual level that, okay, we need to get a link on one particular website and looking at just the links. I think that we need to kind of open up our eyes and understand that the internet is not just one link or a few thousand links, but really, literally billions of web pages out there. And so how do we find not just the links that are linking directly to us, but also links that are part of the overall web that are influencing the majority of websites that are then linking and understand that there's a whole network of websites out there. It's not just it's one website linking to another, to another, to another, and kind of there's a path that we can follow. And if we can get past the fact that we just have been looking for one particular link and so forth, and understand that the internet is a very complex place with lots of links, and there's whole networks of links out there. And that's what I would like to focus on going forward. And I still with my own clients or even my own websites, I still am looking at who's linking to me, but I'm trying to get past that time where I'm only focusing on getting a link from one particular website, and that only, and in a lot of cases, I'm looking at my competitors' links and saying, well, I need a link from that website because my competitor has that link. So let's look at tiered links, and we're going to get into that, I think, a little bit more about tiered links and who's linking to whom and so forth in a little bit. But I think if we can get past the fact that we don't need to focus just on links directly to our sites, but think bigger picture, think about the internet as a whole.
Okay, so by the internet as a whole, are you talking about multiple tiers of links? So who's linking to your competitors' sites and who's linking to them? Or are you talking about going even deeper than that?
Yes, there are I would say, let's say 100 or so major websites, from everything from New York Times to to Wikipedia, to Google and Yahoo and all the and Sky News and a lot of these major influencer websites. They link to other websites, and we need to kind of understand who they're linking to and what they're how they're doing, how they're influencing the web, and as well as why is Wikipedia such a powerful website? It's not just, they're not just getting a few links, but they're getting links from other influential websites, and those influential websites themselves have links. And so there's so many other opportunities, even if you narrow it down to your particular topic or particular niche that you're working on in that particular area. sure, there are standard links in your industry that you would like to get, but those influential links in your industry, well, why are they influential? Let's start to look at not only just the influential links that you are getting, but let's talk about looking at who's influencing the influencers. And there's a lot of opportunities there.
Okay, so that's a major topic in itself. Let's try and dissect it a little bit, and then hopefully leave the listener, the viewer, the reader with maybe an actionable takeaway
Sure.
in relation to this. So you mentioned maybe the top 100 sites online. Are you also saying that you need to be aware of them and attempt to, if you can't get a link from them, get a link from someone who is linked to by them?
Yes, exactly. So, they whenever, when we're talking about Majestic and Majestic has this Majestic million and the top most influential websites, let's say Wikipedia, and Wikipedia links to, a website in your niche, then it may be, if you can't get the Wikipedia link, get the next best thing, or the next best thing, which would be a link from Wikipedia, not only directly from Wikipedia, but who are they linking to? Who are they linking?
A link from a website that's linked to from
someone
Wikipedia,
who is linked from Wikipedia. So, for example, very practical. Go to the Wikipedia page where you would like to have a link, and find it. And if you can't get a link on that particular page, but say, and then you would look at resource. There are resource links there. There are external links on that particular page. Maybe there are links from those websites. Then those also would be a prime place. Okay, who is linking to those websites that are actually linked from that Wikipedia page? So you could kind of do some investigation and say, okay, the pages that are linked from Wikipedia, well, let's see if we can look at, take a link tool and say, okay, who is linking, linking to them. And it's essentially on the same topic. It's, when we talk about tiered links, the tier would be the tier one link would be if Wikipedia linked directly to you, but the next best thing is Wikipedia linking to another website that then links to you. And so that would be the second tier. You still essentially get in the link chain, you still essentially do get a link from Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is linking to somebody that then is linking to you. And so we kind of want to open up that, we just don't want to get a link from Wikipedia. We want to get the next best thing.
That's great advice there. So essentially what you're saying is, do some research on Wikipedia and try and find to see if any of your competitors have Wikipedia pages, and then have a look on those pages, look to see what the resources section says on those pages, and then trying to determine if there's opportunities to get links from those websites as well. Brilliant. You obviously mentioned that you're not necessarily going to get a direct link from Wikipedia, but you could get a link from one of the links that is linked to from Wikipedia. Do you have any sense on how to determine the authority value that Wikipedia is passing on to you via the other website?
That's a good question. We know, for example, there's different types of links, when it comes to, Wikipedia is supposedly, a no follow link. And I'm not really, that concerned about that, no follow tag, because I do know that there's a good chance that, even though there's a no follow tag, there still may be some value there. And, And I know that, for example, that when I have not had, I've gotten a Wikipedia link, and when I got that Wikipedia link, I noticed, some more trust and authority for my own website. And so, and rankings went up. So sure, we could look at, numbers as far as, trust flow numbers and so forth, and try and figure that out. I don't think that's necessarily something that, I don't spend a lot of time, looking at those numbers and kind of obsessing over it. Sure, I may look at it, and so forth. Lately, I've been more concerned that the link that I have, or the website, or the web page that's linking to me is more on topic and more appropriate, necessarily. And so even though, for example, if it's a news website, the news website, is about news. And if they do write an article, about digital marketing, then I would want to be linked from that digital marketing article, rather than say a page on a sports page, or a page about football linking to me. So it's all about not necessarily the website, but it's the actual page and copy and so forth. And I think that has more value at this point, being an on-topic link rather than, let's say, having a certain authority number on that particular website or page.
Understood. So you're essentially demonstrating that you're in the right neighborhood, that you're being discussed among the authorities of your industry. I guess one of the reasons why I was taking that line of conversation is that I remember in the old days of SEO having the green page rank bar at the top of your browser and going, this is my page rank, and figuring out, okay, if I get a page rank of X to link to my site, and perhaps even linked to from a link that's being linked to from a high page rank, thinking, well, how much of that is going to flow back to my URL that I'm attempting to get a page rank of higher. And I was wondering if you not obviously looked at page rank like that, but perhaps considered trust flow or some other metric as a way of determining how much of it flowed from second to third tier links.
Yes, maybe I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to show my age here, but when we think about page rank and these numbers, the first thing I think of is how so many people manipulated those numbers. And the old trick, or the old that you needed to be aware of as an SEO, the plain and simple is that if you redirected a page for a certain period of time to a higher page rank page, you could redirect your page to a place to a news website, and you would actually that page rank number would change, and that authority score would change. And then if you immediately remove the redirect, what would happen is that green toolbar page rank would still show that you had, a page rank 9, even though, the last few days you've been redirecting it to a page rank 9 page. And so that manipulation was there. So I've always over the years questioned, numbers like that, and authority numbers. And I've seen, nowadays it's not as, because not as, you can't do as, the manipulation, but we have to understand, that there's still, even though there's a number, it may not be completely 100%, correct. And so we kind of have to, have, when we're looking at the numbers and so forth, I've seen, a case where if something's a little bit more on topic, then it might have more value. And then we also throw in, okay, well, here I have a TrustFlow 78 page linking to me, but, does it matter whether or not that link to me is, buried in the footer or if it's right there in the middle of the article, or where on the page, it is. So there's all sorts of, other considerations. I'd rather have a good prominent link in an article, on a Trust Flow, 50 or 48 page, rather than have it a link from a 78 that's a link that's buried in the footer, or maybe in a list of 100 other 100 other links on that particular page. So there's all sorts of what ifs, and the big phrase is it depends. Well, there's it really does depend on a lot of other factors that we have to consider.
So how often should an SEO be deep diving using a tool like Majestic to analyze who their second and third tier links are, and actually determine what their link acquisition strategy should be for a period? Is this something that should only be done maybe on a quarterly basis, or more often than that?
It's a good question. It comes down to, how much, how often you are, working on the link strategy. Typically, as part of a link audit process, typically, I recommend, a thorough link audit every 6 months, or at least every year, for smaller or non-competitive websites, to see, really what's going on. And also, when it comes down to it, if there are major, ranking changes, I mean, if or anything changed, certainly that's a time where, you're going to need to, look at, a lot of different factors, whether or not you lost links, or whether or not, something major changed, then you're going to kind of want to dig in and see. But as far as a normal, regular, process of looking at, your link profile, I would say, at least once a month, typically, as you're doing your link, your link building efforts, and you're starting the day, looking at links in general, that, not only just are we just looking at what links we've acquired, but also looking at that, looking at the other tiered links, that, the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, at the same time. And so that's it's not just a regular thing that we're going to do. I'm actually daily, for example, when I'm doing link building or trying to find links, I'm not just looking at the tier 1 links or the regular, just the, not just going into, Majestic and putting in, my competitor's website and just looking at their links. Sure, I am doing that and seeing, what new links they may have gotten, but I'm also looking at, the tier 2 and tier 3 and focusing on, what links are linking to their links. So it's kind of, looking at the various tiers is not just a once a month or once a quarter, once a year thing. It's actually become in a part of my daily. You're looking at links. You're just not looking at the tier 1 links. You're looking at all of the links and all of the influential links.
So if an SEO has been listening to what you're saying, and I actually love your idea of, say, checking out competitor pages on Wikipedia to see what resources are available, to try and improve their own second, third, fourth tier links. What's something that SEO may have been doing consistently over the last 5 years or so that has perhaps diminished in value, that they can actually take time from that to focus more on what you suggest?
I think it's overall strategy. I think that's, one of the things that, that I think the biggest change in the past 5 years is that, the search engine's understanding a lot more about natural language and a lot more that, and understanding that, if we look at, an example, that we have the word attorney versus and a lawyer versus solicitor, and those are 3 different versions of essentially the same, the same word. And so we would not, the old style SEO, we would create a page for our, city name attorney, and then we'd create another page for city name lawyer, and then another one, for solicitor, and so that, that actually takes time. That actually, we don't need to be doing that in particular. We need to be creating content that, that would essentially be one page. And so that's something that has been a big change. And that, that also, that same concept flows, as far as keywords go, flows into anchor text of links. Sure, we want, so we don't, if we want to rank for, a lawyer, rank for New York lawyer or London solicitor, sure, we might want to get some other links with some other versions of the same word. And so that is just doing that and making that change is going to free up, I think, a lot of time as well. And so, understand that we don't have to spend all this time, creating a page for every single keyword, every kind of version, the singular and the plural and so forth, and just creating another page on our website, to target the plural version is not necessarily something that we need to spend so much time on.
So stop creating pages for every single keyword that you uncover and start trusting Google to actually deliver your page, even though it might not be traditionally optimized for that keyword phrase.
Yes, and you can actually, you can start to, use different versions, of those keywords, on the same page. And so, it's very easy or, very logical that that one particular page can rank for multiple keywords. And I've seen, even a page rank for thousands or hundreds or even thousands of keywords, because, we're not really focused in on one particular keyword.
Great stuff. Well, you can find Bill over at hartzer.com. Bill,
Yes.
Thanks for being part of SEO in 2022.
Thanks.
Check out the rest of the content from SEO in 2022 over at SEOin2022.com.